Great, great. So, so we'll start with fifth chapter and then. Okay. Om Shri Krishna Paramatmane Namaha Atha Panchamodhyayah Arjuna Uvacha Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogam Cha Samshasi Yachreya Yatayorekam Tanme Bruhi Sunischitam. So it starts with a question from Arjuna. Let's understand the context first. It's good to recap bit of what have we learned so far at a high level on the things in the previous chapter, right? So third chapter was all Karma Yoga, definition of Karma Yoga at a basic level, right? It talked about what a Karma Yoga is, what is Yajna, all of those things were talked there. And then fourth chapter was Karma Sannyasa Yoga. It touched a little bit on that there is a something beyond Karma Yoga, which is going into knowledge, which is going into meditation, contemplation, before one can achieve the final goal of liberation. And towards that, multiple topics were discussed. The discussion about, that knowledge is a sword, knowledge is a boat, there's a boat of knowledge. Then there were 12 sadhanas that were prescribed, to purify oneself, one of which was pranayama, one of which was, fasting, austerity, multiple things were discussed. Towards the end and then the word called renunciation was also brought in. There is an introduction. And we discussed a little bit about that word renunciation. This chapter is going to go one step further. So here, let's understand one thing. What was it that, typically at the end of a chapter, Krishna or Veda Vyasa gives a prelude to what's coming next. Always the case. It's like, when you see a serial, right, television serial, they'll say, this is what is coming next episode. And so you people go there, okay, I should see this next episode. Similarly, so if you see the 41st verse of the fourth chapter, Yoga Sanyasta Karmanam Jnana Sanjinna Samshayam. Yoga Sanyasta Karmanam. Yeah. So he says that people who have renounced action, the word renounce, it puts in there, whose doubts have been cleared by knowledge, they ultimately reach. That's what he said. Very, very tall order of, thing. And the reason we didn't discuss it at that time was because it will not be understood at that particular, because this is something that is like a headline, right? The actual gist of it is going to come later. So that is what is coming here. So, Arjuna has so far heard, if you're Arjuna, right, put yourself in Arjuna's shoes. Here is a person who actually didn't want to fight, right? He had given up. And then slowly Krishna was warming him up to, you should act. Keep on reminding him, give him some knowledge. Karma Yoga, action, what action is, what is not action, etc. He talked about, and how should you perform an action, which is Karma Yoga. Then he also brought in a taste in the fourth chapter that, to reach that supreme, you have to go through knowledge, but for that, you have to do the action. So the word, sannyasa yoga, all of that came. Now, Krishna, Arjuna wants to still not very, very convinced what he should be doing. If you give him a chance, he would say, I don't want to act. Like you and I, right? If somebody said, you will achieve this without having to do anything, you sit in your chair, you'll reach there. No problem there, I'll do it. Why should I have to run here, run there, etc. to get things done? Hmm. So all these, things that we do, right? Online, paying the telephone bill. Years back, we had to go to a place and stand in a counter, stand for 1 hour, pay the bill, and come back. You all remember, right? Today, sit at the chair table on your cell phone, and you do everything. So similarly here, he's asking Krishna, you praised, you know, to renunciation of action, or you praise sannyasa yoga. You also have prayed, kept on talking, you should do action. Tell me, what is it that I should do? Which is the better of the two? right? And so we putting ourselves into the shoes of Arjuna, right, should also be thinking, right, which is the one I should do? What is renunciation? What is performance of action, etc. Now, performance action we've talked about, but he'll bring it from different angles. So the answer to that question is what starts in the second stanza till the end of this chapter. Okay, that's the reason it's called, yoga of renunciation of action. This chapter is called yoga of renunciation, true renunciation, not renunciation. Why is it called true? That all that we'll talk about. Because what you and I understand as renunciation may not be what it is. That's the reason he uses the word true renunciation. So we'll chant the second and third verse now. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Sanyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyasakaravubhau Tayostu Karma Sanyasad Karma Yogo Vishishyate ज्ञेयः नित्यसन्न्यासी यो न द्वेष्टि न काङ्क्षति निर्द्वन्द्वो हि महाबाहो सुखं बन्धात् प्रमुच्यते. So, first and foremost, we have to understand what is renunciation of desires. So, typically, if let's say, all of us are grihasthas, right? We're all doing action and something, comes, it just bothers you so much, you're not able to handle. What do we do typically? Walk out of there, let me find another place, let me go somewhere out, get things done, right? Or one is frustrated, they leave the home and go somewhere else. They say, okay, I'll go to an ashram because ashram is more peaceful. Is that renunciation? Clear answer is no. So renunciation, what Krishna is saying, is not about doing something with the outer world. It's not about, running away from your responsibilities, your possessions. In fact, ask yourself, right? What is it that you and I have that we can say it is yours? Well, ask yourself, right? You think my house is mine. It's probably, yeah, you have a title in your name, you have a kata in your name. Is that what it is? Does it really belong to you and I? Your children, your husband, do they really belong to you? They've all been given by the divine for a certain purpose. This house belongs to nature. One day it is going to go and turn into ashes and go down, and another building, apartment, etc. will come in its place. So we are just simply there as a rental person. Even though we may say I have a ownership of it, we are still renting. As of this body, it is a rental property. This body that I have is also a rental property. Your husband and wife and children, etc., or whatever, all of us, they've been given to us for a particular reason, but they do not belong. They belong to Prakriti. They belong to divine. So really, I cannot say that family and possessions are mine and I'm renouncing it. And anyway, if you renounce it, what are you doing? You're renouncing your responsibilities. And what did we learn in Karma Yoga? Your responsibilities, your duties, daily duties, monthly duties, yearly duties, all of them are yours. And therefore, as a grihastha or as a family person, or I'm bound by those duties, I have to do it. So truly, what is it that I can say I can give up? It is what is below my skin. So it is my mental attitude towards things that I can say is renunciation. And what is below my skin, that is mental values, my expectations, all of them is only what you can give up. I can give up my cravings. I can give up my aversions. I can give up my garbage that I have inside my mind. It's all internal garbage, not outside garbage. I'm not talking about that. So renunciation really belongs to what we do inside of us rather than outside of us. Because outside of us really does not belong to It belongs to Prakriti. And if you ask Prakriti who it belongs to, Prakriti says it belongs to the divine. Prakriti is just part, it's just what we call as nature. When we say earth, water, fire, everything, which is part of Prakriti, ultimately this body is going to merge into those elements. We have come from those elements, we're going to go back to those elements. So, first thing that Krishna is going to, telling Arjuna is that, which is starting in the second stanza and third stanza, is that both of these are important. Both renunciation of action are important towards what we ultimate goal. But renunciation, karma yoga, which is performing actions any day, is better than renunciation. For most of us, there might be exceptions. There might be somebody, who's very evolved, who's very spiritual, who's somebody, who's actually in his previous janmas, he's done a lot of good work, right? And he's probably cleansed to a large degree. The so-called people who go to a, they become the sannyasis that we see, the rishis that we see, that are part of art of living, etc., or even otherwise in other institutions. There has been somewhere when a guru is selecting him to become a sannyasi, somewhere that person is qualified. He or she is qualified to become a sannyasi or a sannyasin. So, sannyasa, if one were to look at ultimate goal as liberation or mukti, however you call it, etc., you need to go through these steps. And it needs discipline. It needs preparatory work. It is not a shortcut where, I bypass something and go. Because if I have to go to Mount Everest, I have to go through base 1, base 2, base 3, base 4. I can't say I'll go to base 3 and somehow get there. Right? You go to base 1 to get acclimatized, get used to the body, the temperature, the place, everything, right? And then go to base 2, spend a day or two there, and then move on and on, right? So that's how we do. So now the word sannyas. So nyasam, there's a word called nyasam in Sanskrit. The nyasam means giving up ego. Sannyasam means totally giving up ego. It's the actual literal translation of sannyas. Are we all there? Appears difficult, right? But to get there, we have to go through some process, right? So, which is superior? For most people, it is first get to the actions in the true spirit of what it is. Then, it's not that you're not being in knowledge, but you have to go through action. That is the reason if you see Guruji in all his things, why does he keep saying seva? Why does he keep saying sadhana? Why does he keep saying satsang? All of these come under karma yoga. He doesn't, only a few select people, he say, okay, you can come to the ashram, we'll take you through sannyasa training course and you become a sannyasi at some point in time. And even there, people who go through that training first become brahmachari. They go through brahmachari training. Brahmachari training, they go through intense thing, and only when they are ready, they've gone through preparedness, then only they're inducted as a sannyasi. But for many years, they have to work. As a brahmachari, you have to go work in the outside world, doing seva, this, that, etc. And he then decides who is the right person to go to the next step. That happens in every ashram. It doesn't happen automatically. So here, for somebody to be eligible to, immerse oneself in knowledge, immerse oneself in doing things, you have to go through these steps. So that's what is being stressed here by Krishna. So first we have to understand this word renunciation. I hope it's clear now. Renunciation, therefore, is not about what I do physically outside in terms of giving up something. It is about what I give up from the inside, letting go of things, not wanting to hold on to things. So the more I let go, And that let go also is not going to happen overnight. Easy to say let go, but it will happen only through practices, only through karma yoga, only through seva, all of these. Hmm. All right. Um, so he goes on to, so that's what he's saying. Now, if you look at this whole process, right, one can look at ourselves, each one of us, like a diamond. At the end of the day, inside, what Guruji always says, we are a diamond, pure diamond inside, at the core of our existence. But to, or pure gold, right? Now, if I have to, go to a place where, they find gold, right? Does it become a gold ornament overnight? It goes through a lot of processing, right? First, they remove the mud, and then they remove the impurities, and then go through a lot of polishing, and that gets you to pure gold. And then to make an ornament, it goes through some more processing before it becomes an ornament. That comes to a jewelry shop, which you and I go and buy it, wear it, right? Similarly, karma yoga is about going through this cleansing process of this letting go. That is the reason we say that, right? It is in all of these practices that we do, in fact, even the kriyas, all the things that we do, is not about, it's not about, gaining something. It is about letting go of things. You might say that, I've gained this knowledge. Actually, yeah, we may say at a superficial level, gaining knowledge. But by gaining that knowledge, I have gotten rid of something, incorrect, perception of things, lack of understanding, ignorance, whatever you may call it. It is letting go. Ultimately, if you have to reach the ultimate, it has to be totally let. You have to be out. You have to lose our identity. I have to lose my identity. I have to go through these steps, right? Right now, I'm clinging on to myself as Ramesh or as a human being, or blah, 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 this, that, etc. Right? If I have to go to the stage of losing my own identity, losing my own ego, I have just a lot to be done. So that purification process, right, is what, or going to that to get to that level is what Krishna's, highlighting here in a lot of ways. Okay, we go to the third. Yeah, we'll do third and fourth now. Nyeyassa nitya sannyasi yo nadveshti na kankshati nirbandho hi mahabahu sukham bandhat pramuchyate Sankhya-yogo pratag-balaha pravadanti na panditaha ekam-abhyastita samyag ubayor-vindate phalam. So if you see it from another angle, these things, there is a lot of commonness. What does renunciation of action mean? Guruji puts it another way, right? If I do my, there's, in happiness program, you would have learned, right? Give your 100% in whatever you do. Have we all learned it? So one is to say give 100% effort. That is one way. But other way to do it is that when I'm totally lost in the action, it is all happening. I am doing it, and yet I'm not doing it. I'm totally immersed in the action. No concept of time, no concept of food. And we have done it, right? Don't we do it at times, right? Whenever there is a marriage function, whenever there is something that we are organizing at home, right? And you have to take a lot of responsibility. You just don't look at time, day, night, etc. Right? You're totally 100% into it. You're fully with your nature of doing things. When you do that, do you carry any impressions with you? No. No karma comes in. No attachment to things comes in. Your thing is all about I'm going to do my best because I'm doing this for somebody's thing, right? A function or wedding or whatever else it might be. So therefore, if I do my action, if you really look at the true spirit of that 100%, it is actually renunciation of action. What does renunciation of action mean? Renunciation of action means I'm not carried away by the results. I'm not feverish about the results. I'm not thinking I'm doing it, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. or somebody else is not doing it. I am the one who's doing it. There is none of that pride, none of this, you know, wanting something at the end of it based on which I'm happy. I'm just happy doing it as it happens. I'm fully immersed into it. So that's the reason here in fourth stanza he says, only immature people think. In fact, use the word children. Only children think that the yoga of knowledge and the yoga of action are different. If you look at it at the one angle, they are one and the same. It is like this, right? If I have to go from here to Malleshwaram, from Kundanali to Malleshwaram, there are multiple ways to go there. I can take the ring road. I can take the road through whatever in the heart of the city and go there, etc. Right? Both take me to the same place. Yeah, that is one way to look at it. Second way is to see is that I go on a particular road. That road itself changes names. Haven't we seen in Bangalore and places, right? It'll be called Cubbon Park Road till a particular point. After that, the road gets named differently. You keep driving. For you, you're oblivious to the fact that it's changed names, but it's the same thing. Same thing here. If you correlate that to here, right? It is like that, right? If you do your performance in action, that performance action changes names then to renunciation of action. And you are in the path of going to knowledge and then finally reaching his abode. So it is two roads, seems like a different name. They mean the same thing if you see at the root of it. But both of them require, dedication, practice, commitment, discipline, all of that. No shortcuts to all of this. All that he's trying to tell, Arjuna, is that really they are not very different. Understood? So let's now go to the fifth stanza. यत्साङ्ख्यै प्राप्यते स्थानं तद्योगैरपि गम्यते एकं साङ्ख्यं च योगं च स पश्यति स पश्यति. Very beautiful. Pashyati comes. So you can see it from two different, let's look at these two angles from two different perspectives. Let's say there is a person who's doing karma yoga. He's still not in the knowledge, right? He's doing his karma yoga. He doesn't have much of an understanding, but he's performing his action. He's got a bit of craving for the results, a bit of feverishness is there. He says, okay, when I finish it, I'll become happy. So there is a sense of, wanting something out of it. There's a karma associated with it. So there is impressions that are created, karma that is created, and the road is long for that such a person. This is a person who's doing action, karma yoga action. Let's say somebody who doesn't do it, but on the other hand, he's doing more renunciation of action. He says, I am just going to go to the ashram. I don't want to work in this world. I'm just going to retire myself and spend my time, rest of my life in the ashram. He goes to life. And, let's just say that, he's wearing whatever robes in the ashram. Outside, he's wearing a nice robe. Inside, he's thinking, did I do the right thing coming here? Am I missing something, right? If I had not come here, what would the life be? Right? So therefore, the sense of attachment to what the life would be had he not come to the ashram is still clinging onto his head. So as a result of what, is he really going in the path of sannyasa yoga as a sannyasi? Right. Wearing a robe is one thing. I'm not saying everybody is like this. I'm just taking an example only here. So don't miss me other thing. So the missing ingredient in both of these people, both the person who didn't do the karma yoga properly, and the second person who's doesn't know what renunciation means and is still a bit selfish about his wants and desires, etc. What is the missing ingredient? Knowledge. The knowledge, if it is not there, you cannot discriminate. You cannot use your intellectual hat to say, this is to be done, this is not to be done. So unless the scope of discrimination comes to our life, we cannot progress in the spiritual path. In fact, it is needed even in in the worldly life also, but more so in the spirit. You can get away with this lack of discrimination in a let's say in a corporate world, for example, but not the case here. So here, what he says, he yap pashyati sa pashyati. This person sees knowledge and yoga as one, who is soaked into knowledge and then does these two things, right? Does either renunciation of action or does performance action, giving his full diligent time, full 100%, fully lost his thing into that, right? Therefore, he doesn't even think about the doership, doesn't even think about what's going to happen. I'm fully doing it. It's smile in his face or her face, just fully immersed into that thing. So here he's saying, in the fifth stanza, right? The knowledge is an important part, but to get to that knowledge, you have to, you just can't impart it. If you, let's just say, go outside today and start talking knowledge to some person, maybe forget even outside, even within the family, you go talk to some people, talk to 10 different relatives of yours. Tell me how many are going to listen to you. They say, I've got other problems, man. I'm not ready for this. This is beyond me, right? You might be talking high level, but for me, I'm practically looking at other issues right now. My daughter is not married, my son is not married, this is happening, that's happening, I'm losing my job, etc., etc., etc. Lots of reasons are given by whoever you talk to because they're not yet ready. So to get to Bhagavad Gita, to be able to even come this far, this cannot happen without, definitely a lot of punya that we've all done, but also some level of preparedness to sit here for 30, 45 minutes or whatever to be able to listen, understand, talk through it, absorb it, whatever you call it, right? So it is not easy no, because we are not talking some, you know, OV knowledge, right? Here we are talking about an abstract level knowledge, something that is not, what you call like physics and chemistry in objective form. It's all subjective knowledge. When you talk about subjective knowledge, it just needs a different presence of mind. And for the presence of mind to be there, you have to be in a certain state of cleansing. Either a guru has cleansed you, or you have cleansed yourself through practices, or you have done beautiful karma yoga practices to get there. Combination of all of these is also there. Yeah? On to the sixth answer. Sannyasasthu mahabahu dukkhamaptumayo gataha yoga yukto munir brahma achirena adhigacchati. So here he's giving, how people reach there, because he has to say, right, ultimately, what is your goal? Nachirena adhigacchati. That means ultimately, nachirena means what? Not long after. Adhigacchati, they go to the ultimate goal. To yoga yuktaha. Yoga yuktaha means what? Somebody who is fully established in the path of doing selfless actions or less selfish actions. And that selfish actions can come only in the presence of knowledge. You can't just say, don't be selfish and do it, right? Only when you understand what is the negativity about doing selfish actions, then I'll do selfless actions, right? So these have to go together. It's not a serial thing. The more you're in the knowledge, that's even Guruji keeps saying, be in the knowledge, read something every day. Why is it? Because it's going to practically help you in your day-to-day actions that you do at work, at home, in your relationships, everything. Be in the knowledge. Be in the knowledge. So to have a poise of mind or to have even centeredness, right? To have a focus towards, this is my goal. I need to do these things, right? And even, discipline, etc., right? I need to have some level of maturity, mental maturity. That's where he's saying yoga yuktaha. That means doing karma yoga, he's become a yukti. He's become a person who's not attached to a large extent, right? So for us, we don't need to look at this as ultimate. How is it possible to be selfless? How is it possible to be totally unattached? Can we go in steps? I was maybe very attached some years back towards some people in my family. Today, I can handle it, even if they are not physically next to me, even if they are not calling me every day. I'm still okay with it. That is all the signs, right? For us, if we just practically look at what is it that you and I as parents have to do, right? We just have to look at each thing as an incremental step that we can do every day. Am I the same person that I was 5 years back? Today, can I handle, earlier all my kids were next to me. Today they are not there, right? And they're all in different worlds. But am I counting on them calling me every day or sending a message, hello there every day? If I don't get a call from them, am I still okay with it? Am I okay, if I don't get praised by, my relatives for having performed something good in a, wedding, something? Am I okay with it? If the answer to all of this is, yeah, I'm okay with it, then we are progressing in the right direction. So it doesn't have to be looked at as perfection, selfless, totally, what you call lack of total attachment, etc. We have to understand all of this, the purpose of why it is being stressed like that. Because the more I get attached, the more I get, into a selfish thing, I'm binding myself. I'm setting expectations to myself. And the more I set expectations myself, thoughts only like that will come. Negative thoughts will come. I'll get irritated easily. All kinds of things will happen. So once we understand the purpose of why Krishna is stressing selfless, that way we take a step towards going towards it. Even if I'm not there, can I go at least to base camp 4, base camp 3 towards Himalayas if there are 10 base camps to reach there? So, Swami Chinmayananda give a beautiful example. I like to relate to it. Last month, right? Or sorry, January, we had Makara Sankranti. All of us brought sugarcane. Yes or no? Everybody's accustomed to get sugarcane in many households, in many cultures. And you worship that as a harvest time, and people then after the puja and everything, they break it, they remove the top thick skin and then enjoy the juice out of it. Right? Heavenly taste. You can't get it out of anything else. That's a natural taste of sugarcane. So you take that sugarcane, take the sweetness out of it totally, and after that, what do? Do you still munch on that little cud inside your mouth? We let it go. We let go, isn't it? So like that, life is also about the same thing, right? It is, take everything that is juicy, whether it is, and that juicy could be even pleasures, it could be successes, whatever else it might be, or being with the family, going on vacations, doing whatever. But at the end of it, there are certain unwanted things also that comes up as part of life. That has to be let go. If I keep that cud within myself and keep munching on it, someday the mouth is going to say, I'm tired of eating. Why are you eating this stupid thing? People sometimes, I've seen kids munch on this, what is it called? The bubble gum or chewing gum or whatever, right? Initially, there's a nice juice that comes out of it. Good taste, sugary taste, strawberry flavor, some flavor, etc., etc. After that, they keep chewing, going from one side of the mouth to the other. It has to be let out. It is good to show off to others that I can keep on munching on a chewing gum. Chewing gum is very easy. It doesn't, you know, what do you call it? It doesn't make your mouth tired. But the cud of a sugar cane, especially if you're taking a big piece, you can't do it, right? You have to let go. So renunciation is about letting go of unwanted things, unwanted values, unwanted, hatred, aversions, cravings. And this is possible through karma yoga by doing it in the right way, right? If I do it without having a need for, what you call cravings and aversions, without raga dvesha, I'm going in the right path. So again, to reiterate, this is renunciation. Letting go from where? From the, yeah, that sugarcane thing was putting it out, but that just from the, if you take the same renunciation, that relate that to your renunciation, it's about from the inside of myself letting out. That is the only way to do it. So if a negative thought comes, you say, let it come. Maybe it'll bother you for some time. After that, let go. And for us, we have learned all the beautiful practices of pranayama. We have learned all the practice of meditation, other things. Slowly and surely, these things are also erasing it out of it, right? Those little things that are still there as cud in our heart, in our mind, right? Slowly gets removed. And when you get it removed, then what happens? Somewhere contentment and many other things happen. So therefore, an earnest seeker, what is he going to do? He's just, whatever comes to it, he'll do his first his actions, give his 100% to everything, he or she, right? And even if wherever these unwanted things comes into life, etc., he will not take it as one of, what you call botheration and take it inside and get sucked into it. If he wants, he can take it in, which is not the right thing, or he just lets it go. Okay. Seventh stanza. Yeah. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma जितात्मा जितेन्द्रियः सर्वभूतात्मभूतात्मा कुर्वन्नपि न लिप्यते. We'll also chant the next one. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyet tattvavit pashyan shrinvan sprishan jigran ashnan gachan swapanshvasan. We'll touch on the seventh one first because it's a deep verse. Seventh, eighth, all these verses have a lot of things that we have to just not relate it, understand it at a superficial level, but also internalize it. So here, seven stanza talks almost about stages in this path. So he first says, if you see this first seventh stanza, yoga yuktaha, who's devoted to the path of action. As a result of which, vishuddhatma, the person's mind is purer. Then he says, so first one is what? Being established in Karma Yoga. And with this establishment in Karma Yoga, giving the true essence of yajna spirit to all your actions, you get a purification of your mind, your intellect. There's a sense of centeredness inside, quietude inside, less agitations, not craving for fruits of action, all of those, right? And then once this happens, slowly then he says who's conquered the self ego. That means what? You have to be in the knowledge. You can't conquer the self by just saying I conquered the self, right? Somewhere I have to understand what is this self that we are talking about? What is it? What is the inner meaning of it? How does it apply to me? What should I be doing every day towards it? Right. So but the primary step in all of this, the way he starts it, is karma yoga, right? And then in all of this, he's also mentioning who subdued his senses. He realizes the self as in every person. So once you get to that, like a, like a master, or let's say like a spiritual highly spiritual person, he sees the oneness. He sees total connectedness between people. So it doesn't have the question of, I don't like this person, I like this person, etc. Everybody is the same. He's come to that high level of maturity. This person, he says, it's all started with acting. Acting means what? Karma yoga action. So he's again stressing that, so important to do it. It is not just, act means good. Doing it with a sense of, you know, what you call not clinging to all the things that come with karma, with yoga. So it's not about action, it is karma yoga action. So that is what he's stressing, in this particular thing. So he sees therefore what divinity in everybody that's around him. He sees his own self in all the others. To the extent that, yeah, even if you don't look at it that way, right? I mean, to say that may seem very profound. To say that, I'm able to accept everybody is another way to put it in our day-to-day life. What is it that makes me stop accepting somebody as it is? It is my inbuilt prejudices, inbuilt impressions, inbuilt opinions, judgments that binds me to say, this person, not for me. This person, yes for me. Yes or no? Does that happen to us every day? So when Krishna says that, sees oneself in the others, for us, he can just relate to this one thing. Can I 100% accept everybody? Be it a stranger outside, be it all the people in my, in-laws house, whatever we call within my own household. If I'm heading in the right direction, that itself is a right thing. And once we accept that person, that's a big starting step, right? That itself means my impressions, my, sense of ego about my superlativeness or my inferiority, all that is getting tossed over the door. So when we do these actions, what is it doing? It is not leaving any impressions. It's slowly cleansing the ego, right? So it is like this, right? One of the basic similes that I use for this, right, is if you go to a pool of water or a bucket of water and then you put a signature of yours, does it stay there? No, right? Can we be like that? That means I do the actions, but there is no impression of, that action that's sitting in my head that is going to taint me, that is going to bother me for the rest of my life. Hmm? There is a there is a beautiful those of us who are into Vedic chanting, etc. And you would have seen this. This is a thing that is chanted. It's called Sannyasa Suktam. Sannyasa Suktam is, let's say, whenever there is a saint that comes, you welcome that person aboard. Or, even if you've seen when people get invited into our ashram, you'll see all these Vedic pundits behind there chanting something as they enter the room. I don't know if you've noticed. Or you would have noticed it if you have gone to somebody's house and they've invited, a saint from some ashram, etc., coming in. It starts with na karmana na prajaya danena tyaki naike amritatvamana shuhu. And it's a long one. I will talk more about it, but I'll just go to the first part, what it says. It says here, na karmana, that means not by work. Prajaya danena, not by progeny, bringing kids. Yage, not by wealth. Only by renunciation you can attain liberation. Is what the Sannyasa Sutta says. Not by. So when he says not by work here, don't take it literally that this is a good thing. Try not to do any work. Here, when he says work, is the after effects of the work that normal people do. That's what is work here. It's not talking about not doing karma yoga. Do work meaning doing the work in an improper way, right? If you don't follow the practice of karma yoga, that's what. Or having kids or having wealth. Only by renunciation can one attain liberation. So there's more to it, particular thing. So if you see it from another angle, right, the renunciation is also talked about in our scriptures in another way. It talks about, in our life wanting to minimize or reduce these things or out of these things. What is it? Six things, right? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. You would have heard this multiple times. These are the things, you know, that is, it's called Shadripu, or, they also, so you all know what Kama means, desires. And, Krodha, they are both related, right? Whenever there is a impediment towards fulfilling my desire, I get angry. Lobha, somebody else has got something, I don't have it. Greed. Moha, attachment because of all of this, resulting action. And at the end of it, when I have all of these, there's a sense of pride, which is mother. Matsarya is partiality. So these are all vices. It is not to say that, you be out of this totally, but be cognizant about, these things, that they are there, right? It is inbuilt in many of us. Becoming aware that, what am I greedy about? Why am I getting angry about this, right? Why is it this thing bothering me? That awareness of when it comes in, that itself is a big starting step for cleansing. And this is all knowledge, right? Guruji keeps on giving in all these satsang knowledge only for us to be able to take that and apply that into when we do the actions, apply when we talk to somebody, apply when we are doing some work with somebody else at both at home or at work, isn't it? And as a result, when all of that is karma yoga, right? When I apply that knowledge, I can do the action that I'm doing the karma yoga action. Okay. So now we're going to get into this beautiful stanza, eighth stanza, that we partially talked about. So here he says, Naiva kinchit karometi. This is the feeling that, when you're doing sort of fully immersed into an action, you feel you've done nothing at all. It just all happened. Sometimes when we have done all of this, right, next day somebody said, how did you spend? You look so fresh and yet you've done so many things. What do you say? It all happened. I just don't know. I just did it. It all happened around me. So that kind of a mindset, is what he's referring to you is that I am doing nothing at all. This is the truth that he wants to get at. This not doing anything at all with what is not putting a doership to my things, being fully 100% into my actions. And the way he gives us, he's giving always Krishna Vedavyasa gives examples, is to look at mundane things that we do every second, every day. That is in the second line of the eighth verse. Pashyan. Pashyan means what? Seeing. Let's use the word seeing. Right? We all see with our eyes. No, very obvious. Have you all used a camera? Even the most sophisticated SLR camera that you have, if I have to take a photo of that particular thing, right? You push the button, there is an autofocus. It takes a bit of time for the lens to focus on it. And then, you take a shot, right? A few seconds minimum. What is happening when we see something? Something falls through my pupil into the retina. Retina has got bunch of nerves behind it, right? And there is the intelligence behind goes to the brain. Mind then says, whatever you're seeing is this. All happens in a fraction of a second. Do we even understand how complicated that thing would be if it were to be done by something outside? All of that is being done by something built into us. It is being done by nature. It is being done by divine. So we may say, yeah, it's all understood, it's very obvious. It may not be obvious, right? We don't relate the magnitude of what is being done, inside my body. If I just become aware of that, then I appreciate that there's that sense of, you know, things that are just happening. I'm not even aware of hundreds of things that are happening every second in my body. I am just blind to it. I'm just thinking, oh, it's all happening. It's okay. But more we appreciate these things, the more we have a sense of gratitude that, it's all being done by Him. Even the so-called actions that I do physically. So, why, okay, so first he picked up the word Pashyan. Then, Shrinvan. Shrinvan means what? Shrinvan means hearing. Same thing. You hear something, goes to the eardrums, that goes through a sense of vibration, goes through the nerves, through the brain, and you are clearly hearing what you want. Whatever you're hearing goes to the mind and you're able to cognize it. Touching, which is what Shrinvan, Sprishan. Sprishan is touching. And then Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Shwasan. It's one long word, but if you split it all into these, it is coming down to these. First is seeing, second is hearing, then is touching, is smelling. How much, you know, discrimination that the nose uses. This is good breath, that's not good breath. This is foul smell, this is good smell. And then the body doing the right actions in terms of whether you want to stay near that smell or go out with that smell. Eating, going somewhere, sleeping, breathing. All of us in the happiness program, Guruji, what did they say? We know little about our breath. We know little about how powerful our breath is. And we've all done the Sudarshan Kriya, and we know that simple breathing that we may be doing in all the three-stage pranayama bhastika, it just gives us a wonderful experience at the end of it. Totally a miracle experience, magical experience. Right? It is just being aware that, things are just happening. I am simply an instrument. I am simply, if I see, I'm a sophisticated robot that has been created by God to do certain things. And they say AI, this is called absolute intelligence. So whatever we are talking about, Ashnan's, um, what were Pashyan, Shinman, Jigran, Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Shwasan, all of these is absolute intelligence that's making everything happening. So Krishna is just alerting us, come out of this thing that, you're doing things. You're not doing anything. And the examples and we'll continue some of these going into next session. Very, very powerful. A lot of these are simple messages. It is, it may not be called rocket science, but they're very deep. The more we sort of internalize it, um, ponder over it, the manana etc., so much the better for all of us. Okay. So